In this video, we're going to focus on changing the background color from the values that we select as part of the sliders. The first step that we must carry out is to know when a value of one of the sliders has changed, and for it we're going to return to the XAML file. Let's look for the slider controls, since we want to set the value change event which will let us know when one of the values of the sliders changed. Let's create an event handler, and because we're going to reuse the event handler for each of the sliders, let's rename the event to a more generic name, such as slider value changed. I'm going to copy the name we've specified. Let's go to the main page.xaml CS file and proceed to also rename the event handler that is part of this file, so that it is related to the XAML file. Next, we're going to proceed to code the event handler, and the first thing we're going to do is to get the values of each of the sliders. Then we're going to indicate that we want to define a variable called red, which is going to be equal to sld_red, which is the name of the control. And we're going to access a property called value, which is going to give us precisely the value of each one of the sliders. Let's do the same for the other sliders. And once we have the three variables that correspond to the three colors, let's proceed to define a color data type in a variable called color. As part of the framework, we have a class called color that contains a method called fromRGB, which allows us to pass a red color, a green color, and a blue color to generate a color from the combination. Let's use this method and pass the variables red, green, and blue as part of the values of the method. Subsequently, let's create a method called setColor to set the color corresponding to the controls in the application. Let's define the method and indicate that we want to set this color to the button called btnRandom. We specify its background color equal to color, which contains the value of the generated color. We also want to modify the color of the main container, which we name container, so we set its background color equal to color. We also want to display the hexadecimal color in the LVLX tag in its text property, but we cannot directly assign the color value since they are incompatible types. What we can do is to use a method called toX, which will return the hexadecimal value of a color in a string format. Let's test these changes that we have applied. Let's change the color of this slider, and we see how effectively it is changing both the color of the background and the color of this button. We have not yet set the event for the green and blue sliders, so the next step is to return to the XAML file. Let's proceed to copy this property with the slider value changed value, and we'll proceed to paste this code inside the second and third slider. Let's proceed to test the application one more time. Let's test the first slider, the second slider, and we can already see how the background color is changing according to the selected value of the sliders.